Good morning, friends. April here with MedWell Health and Wellness. Happy Thursday. We're so excited to be back. We had a week off last week, and we're so excited for today's talk. We have our friends with the Botanist. So welcome to MedWell Unscripted. And as you know, our series is Cannabis Wellness and You. For those of you that are just streaming in for the first time, welcome. Say hello in the chat. Let us know you're here. Also, if you have questions along the way, definitely drop them. We will be sure to answer them along the way. And just some housekeeping. If for whatever reason you are catching the replay, do leave a comment because we are happy to get back to you. Today we're streaming on Facebook, as well as YouTube and our medwellhealth.net website. So we're really exciting to be reaching you all and saying hello. Good morning, guys. How is everybody?
We're great.
Very good. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, so let's get started with, so today we're going to really be talking into kind of the differences in strains, so Indica and Sativa, and talk a little bit about the medical cannabis products that you can get for your wellness. And today we have Emily Waxman, our Director of Community Outreach, and we have Matthew and Christian, who are managers with the Botanist. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Great to see everybody. All right, so what I want to do is we're going to start with Emily, do some brief introductions about your roles and what you're doing to sprinkle your sparkle on the medical cannabis world, and then we'll get into the conversation. So take it away, Emily.
Thank you, April. Well, my name is Emily Waxman, and I am the Director of Community Outreach here at MedWell Health and Wellness. And for those that are not familiar, MedWell is a physician's office where we specialize in medical cannabis certification. So for anyone that is looking to get into the medical program, we are here to help. We have 7 locations throughout the state, as well as we offer our telehealth option, which is phenomenal and has been a wonderful resource for so many. And besides what we do over at MedWell, myself, I am able to get out there into the community and go to amazing places like the Botanist so I can talk to patients, non-patients, explain the program, answer questions, tell people why they would want to be part of the medical program. Sometimes there's just some myths out there that it's always nice to be able for folks to get some real hard information about what is fact and not a fact. And it has just been an absolute pleasure to be able to visit my friends over at the Botanist. So I'll now send it over to Matt and Christian so they can introduce themselves, and really excited to have them here today. It is just an absolute pleasure working with the two of you, and cannot thank you guys enough for taking some time out of your busy schedules to join us today.
All right, Matthew, why don't we start with you?
Sure. I really grew up professionally in the retail sphere, and have been working in customer service and retail for my entire life. But long before I was in this industry, I was a medical patient and advocate. I've had the privilege to work with Emily in a couple of my different dispensary roles now. And it's been really amazing to kind of see the way that clinicians and dispensaries and patients can create this pipeline of knowledge and information and education when they're all put together in the right way. So we're very happy continually to have this partnership with MedWell.
Awesome. And what's your role at the Botanist?
I manage our Worcester facility.
Awesome. Perfect. All right, Christian, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thanks for the intro. So I am the manager of the Shrewsbury store. I've been with the Botanist for a little under 3 years. Been in the cannabis industry for a little over 5. Started off in human services, and when I saw an opportunity for a brand new industry, I kind of took that leap of faith and really haven't looked back. Similar to Matt, I was a medical patient before I was an employee. So the medical side of the cannabis industry definitely is near and dear to my heart. But yes, just to kind of see the changes that cannabis makes in people's day-to-day lives is enough to make me want to come back every day. So couldn't really imagine doing anything other than what I'm doing now. And super excited to be a part of this and to continue our partnership with MedWell.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you.
So we've been really since the new year working on, cannabis wellness in you. And I think one of the things that by us at Medwell using this platform, we've really tried to take kind of the stigma out of using cannabis and really bring education to our audiences and all of our friends about the power of medical cannabis and really how it can help you naturally, right? So I would love to hear from you guys kind of some of you see many patients on a daily basis that come in and they're asking questions. What kind of ailments do you see that people are looking to feel better, right? To get rid of their pain? There's clearly a long list of different things, but tell us a little bit about some of the things that come in. And I would love to, and kind of to continue that, I'm sorry, my caffeine is setting in. I'm like, okay. And to continue that, I'd love to hear about some of the ailments that maybe are not as common, right? Like we talk about anxiety, we talk about stress, but I think that there's so many other things too that people are diagnosed with and that medical cannabis can come in and help. You guys can decide who goes first.
So yeah, I mean, I can say a lot of the most common ailments that medical patients are coming in for tends to be anxiety, insomnia, and kind of generalized body pain. I can relate to a majority of those on a personal level. So for me, it's very easy for me to kind of engage in a conversation with our medical patients about those ailments, a lot of which products I use personally. So just again, to kind of have patients come in and, not necessarily at their weakest moment, but generally for the most part, patients that are coming into our dispensary aren't feeling their best. So to kind of have them come in looking for help and again, provide them with the medication that they need is for me why I get into this industry. And honestly, one of the biggest issues I have with the cannabis industry is the lack of education. So anything that we can do from our end to educate our consumers, make them more knowledgeable in the decisions that they're making and the products that they're getting, I feel like it'll benefit all of us. So
Definitely.
Awesome. How about you, Matthew?
So I think kind of the biggest piece that goes unsaid around this is that the vast majority of people we see and patients we're interacting with aren't just here for one thing. Everyone is feeling a lot of different pieces and symptoms of ailments and stresses of the world that are making their lives more difficult. So a lot of the time we have people come in and bring us 5 or 6 of these qualifying symptoms at once. And they're like, what do I need? And that's the most difficult part to translate, because it is simultaneously a trial and error process and one where people are trying to address multiple things at once. So our best piece and the best thing we can offer as communicators and really as bud tenders on the floor who are working with these medical patients is to be able to kind of guide them in each process and kind of with which side of each thing is going to point them towards relieving individual portions, because almost everyone has at least one of the qualifying conditions that make life harder. And that's exactly what we're here to try and provide.
Awesome. So, I think one of the things, and we talk about different strains, right? And I think it would be helpful to kind of get a little bit more in depth on each strain, and then also talk a little bit about the hybrid strains, right? Because when people come into the Botanist and they get their medicine, there's a whole label, right, on the side of their prescription bottle that tells you exactly what's in each strain. So let's start with Matt, and let's talk a little bit about Indica and kind of what that is and what that means to people.
So at its simplest term, Indica is often really boiled down to Indica, Indicouch. And I think talking about cannabis is really, really important to also acknowledge that there are very few existing landrace Indicas and Sativas left in the world. In an industrialized growing space in today's age, almost everything is some degree of hybrid. So what patients are really seeing as they look at Indica Sativa hybrid on a menu is our best attempt at translating them into those simplest terms, because 90+% of cannabis on the planet at this point is some form of genetically crossed hybrid. So we're using those as really adaptable pieces to say, hey, this is the general effect category, because you have to start somewhere. So for an introduction to a patient, it's much easier to say, hey, these are indica specific characteristics. These are going to make you feel sleepier, calmer, more sedative. And that's kind of where we have to start. And then there's this whole other piece of optional knowledge that we always want more patients to take advantage of, where we can go into terpene-driven effect specifics and kind of how all of these things are connected as crossbred lineages. But we have to start with kind of that basic verbiage. So for us, almost all patients really need to start in the indica sphere with something calming and to take down that level of symptom that is agitating them or that has brought them to their physician in the first place.
Awesome. Awesome. What are your thoughts, Christian?
No, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, for me, again, some of the ailments that I address generally involves the indica side of things or the indica leaning hybrid side of things. So I can absolutely relate. And, you know, being in this industry for as long as we have, we've pretty much seen a lot. So what Matt was saying about kind of how, you know, strains have been crossed and you know, regrown, and it's very difficult for us to at times kind of steer our patrons and our patients to make that right decision because of, you know, the preconceived notions of the indica sativa kind of talk. So the more we can, again, educate, and the more we can kind of have people pay more attention to the terpenes and, you know, the smell profiles and the taste profiles. And what I usually tell our patients is, you know, if there's a strain that you generally like, it's probably something in common with other strains. So pay attention to the smell, pay attention to the taste, pay attention to how that strain made you feel, and, you know, try to stay within that family.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's talk a little bit more in depth about sativa and kind of the what types of products and kind of what it is for patients.
So yeah, sativas, again, the old adage of sunny sativas tend to be uplifting, energizing. Patients generally looking for a boost of energy or looking to focus or, you know, looking to medicate throughout the day and not necessarily fall asleep at the desk. Sativas are generally what they're going for. I find as though sativas tend to be a more popular choice just because a majority of people are looking to either get outside, get going, elevate their mood. You know, it's a great assist with, you know, attention deficit disorders, those type of things. It really helps patients kind of zero in on things and gives them an opportunity to focus on the task at hand.
Awesome. Awesome. So kind of what do you see so, you know, I guess one of the things that comes up is a lot of times when you're looking at the label, sometimes with the hybrid, there's also the CBD piece that you see that comes in, or you see THC. So what is that all, where does that mix into those type of strains, and what should patients be aware of?
So I think ancillary cannabinoids, CBD obviously is the most common one that most people are really familiar with, but particularly CBGA and THCV as well are the direction a lot of these infused products are going, because they actually have more targeted medical applications. That's not more medical application overall, but it's a much easier product to target specific symptoms and effects with. So these ancillary cannabinoids, particularly that are found in all types of cannabis, are really going to be the driving factor in how cannabis starts to get categorized. So CBGA in particular, we're already starting to see products specifically geared towards mood elevation and depression based on utilizing this ancillary cannabinoid and the entourage effect, so that it does work better together with CBD and THC as well.
Awesome. Awesome. And so let's talk products. You know, what types of products do we find strains in? Do you find that people tend to go more towards edible for a specific strain, or is it kind of a good mix? You know, tinctures, where does, or obviously smoke or vaping? Talk a little bit about the different products and what the trends are with medicinal patients.
So questions we normally ask, you know, patients coming in for the first time is generally, what delivery method are you looking to try? You know, it doesn't really limit any options based off of what, you know, smoking, vaping, or consuming, but based off of their preference, there's a wide variety of products that we have that will kind of address those concerns. We have one-to-one edibles, THC edibles. The one-to-one edibles tend to be very popular with our older generation of patients, just because smoking has become, you know, a health concern. And for most of our older patients, body pain, relaxation, those are huge parts of what they're looking to address. So in that aspect, edibles are, very convenient and a great way to kind of continuously have that medication in your body. Tinctures are another, avenue that we do have. A couple different varieties of mainstream tinctures we have on our menu. And again, tinctures, edibles tend to be more toward the health conscious consumers that are not looking to smoke and that are looking for, a less impactful way to consume their medicine.
Awesome. So let's talk about patient experience, right? So what do you have specific roles at the Botanist that if I were to come in as a medical cannabis patient for the first time, what would I expect? Is there somebody that I meet with? Do you do consultations? Like, how does that work? What's that process?
So we offer scheduled consultations, but we really function very differently from most dispensaries in this aspect, that we do have a robust and long enough training program that we really expect every single bud tender on the adult use and the medical side to be able to handle a full service conversation with a first time patient who has never consumed or hasn't consumed in decades. So we really ask our agents to be able to work every single portion of operating this facility, and that's part of why we can do this on such small teams. We don't have that many people that work in these stores, and it's because we really do expect our agents to be full service and to be able to give a full consultation. But when it's something that isn't really feasible at the counter or kind of in the middle of a busy store, we do offer scheduled consultations with members of our management and supervisory teams, where we'll use our consultation rooms, much like the one I'm sitting in right now, to sit down and really have a formal kind of display, demonstration, or breakdown of what we offer and kind of what it may work with a physician's recommendation for.
Do you have any kind of starting questions that would be good for a patient to ask? Because I know sometimes it's just very, especially, an older individual might be walking in for the first time, or maybe a caregiver, right? That's coming in. Do you have any recommendations on questions of where people should start and kind of just the basics, just so they make sure that they're educating themselves? And I'm sure your team does a great job of giving them all that, but I know my first time when I went to a dispensary, I had questions, but I was also like, am I asking the right question? What's a good question to ask?
Kind of letting us know what your experience with cannabis is, maybe the last time you consumed, how you felt when you consumed, kind of what products you have used in the past, how you felt before taking those products, how you felt after taking those products. We generally also ask, what were the doctor's recommendations? A lot of times we'll have new patients coming in and they'll have a stack of paperwork either from their primary care or, from their cannabis doctor, and to kind of go through that and get on the same page as far as what the doctor's recommending and what the patient's willing to try. That's very important. But then again, letting us know what you're willing to try and what you're not willing to try is super important too. Like, the more information we can have on what you're trying to address and how you're trying to address it, better we'll be able to pinpoint the recommendations.
I'm very much in alignment with what you just said, Christian, especially because I feel like we have so many products available now to treat every single ailment and every single method of administration, that our primary kind of first set of questions is really geared toward what makes you most comfortable. Where is your comfort level with experiencing this? And then now that we have such a robust variety and so many different ways to consume, are we going to go down the path of like which piece works best for you? But I think we're in a wonderful place in this industry where we have such variety that we can start with what are you most comfortable with.
Awesome. Did you have a question, Emily?
No, I was just going to make mention of what Matt just said about the selection that they have at the Botanist. It is just incredible what you can find there. It is just an amazing selection of products, and not only is it a wonderful selection, but you are really getting a top-notch person behind the counter. I've had the pleasure of being at both locations to be able to be there, having educational tables. And the staff there is just incredible. So for anyone that is, not had an opportunity yet to check out the Botanist, whether you go to Worcester or to Shrewsbury, you'll find, both are exactly the same as far as just the experience, the products, and on top of it all, they are both the most beautiful stores that you can imagine. They are just gorgeous. So it's really an experience when you go there. So for all those folks out there that want to give it a try, absolutely head out and go check it out. We'll drop all the information as to where you can find them. So just want to make sure I mention that, because it is an absolute pleasure working with these two gentlemen. And again, their staff is just top notch. So.
It's and I'm in Connecticut, and Connecticut is a lot different than Massachusetts, but we have to choose one dispensary that we go to, and the Botanist actually took over our Thames Valley, so I can attest to that. So beautiful.
So
yeah, they redid the place. The products are great, and the team is super, super helpful. Yeah. So I would agree with everything you just said. All right, so
to kind of provide a kind of well-rounded experience when it comes to walking in. Welcome.
It's so true, Christian. I think that for those patients and non-patients alike, one bad experience is going to kind of ruin the whole thing. So, I can certainly mention and attest that it is just a top-notch experience from the time you enter until you are walking out the door at the Botanist. They really do it right, and they know how to treat their patients and their adult use folks. And it's just been a pleasure to be able to, head over to those locations and offer that education to your patients and your adult use folks.
So that kind of leads into what kind of products do you offer any discounts for med patients, and kind of obviously I know the biggest bonus is no sales tax, and there's some VIP treatment, but share some of your discounts for medical cannabis patients.
Go for it, Christian.
Being a first-time patient, having never been to either one of the Botanist locations before, we provide our medical patients with a 25% off their first order, entire medicated order. Along with that, we do have some member discounts that, patients will qualify for, whether it be a veteran status, whether it be a senior status, which, believe it or not, a lot of people are willing to admit they're senior when it comes to getting a discount. Not only that, but we do kind of designate certain days also throughout the week where we, we have a Senior Tuesday day where our seniors don't get their regular 10% off. They get 25% off their entire order. We have various products that we have, priced to kind of move. Matt, I'm sure you could go a little further than that.
Yeah, we have really threshed out kind of our weekly program in which we're trying to provide a category for everyone at least once a week. So one of our busiest pieces right now is Waxy Wednesdays. I believe with the bulk deals, it brings us to the cheapest 1 gram full spectrum concentrate price in the state of Massachusetts for medical patients. They're down to $25 a gram when you buy 3 or more on Wednesdays. And then we're trying to hit each category. So we do a pre-roll Sunday. It's 10 for 100 for medical patients. We do bonus prize wheels on Mondays. We have holiday specials. We have Senior Tuesdays. It's actually one of our busiest mornings of the week ever. It's over 60 is 25% off. We have a party just like Dunkin' Donuts early on Tuesday mornings, full of our senior clientele. And
I love that. I love hearing that, because I think, again, I mentioned earlier the whole stigma around cannabis, but seniors can benefit so much from the plant. So that's awesome.
I would say 20 to 30% of our patient populace is over the age of 55. And we really do spend a lot of time and resources trying to engage that group. We're also participating in a seminar with the Worcester Senior Center in May. So we really do try and get out and touch that group and demographic, because they are very important to us, and they're one of the groups that benefits most from it.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time today. Emily, thank you for your time today, as always. Matt and Christian, I hope to meet you in person someday in the future, but thanks for all that great that knowledge that you shared. And friends, just so you know, in the chat, there is the website for shopbotanist.com. I highly recommend you go to it. It's very easy to use. You also can do some online ordering, which is great. If you are in need of a medical cannabis card, or if you have questions on kind of the registration process, and please look at medwellhealth.net. We're here to help you. And we have a great blog also talking a lot about the different strains, and we have a great dispensary map on our calendar, on our website, that will show you by location where everyone is located, to minimize your drive, I should say. So thank you again, friends. If you are catching the replay, do leave a comment in the chat and we will absolutely get back to you. Thank you again, guys. Again, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you both.
And
thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. And thanks for Puppy in the background saying hello.
Sorry about that.
And we will look forward to seeing you next week. Emily and I will see you next week, same time, same place, and have a fabulous week. And I guess it's looking pretty spring-like for once. So we'll see. Have a great weekend, friends. Take care.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you.
Thanks, guys.